Keep California cowgirls from vanishing. Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. Training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse, Semi. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator. Sadie practices over the haunches with an ATV mechanical cow simulator.
Pulling slack. And Susie's coming my way because she feels the pressure behind her horns.
Ground driving Sadie and measuring for harness pole. Today we are going to hitch up Sadie and try to ground drive her up and down the driveway nearby here. We're also going to try to measure the harness pole that we're making so that we can do pairs driving. We did hitch up Eve a few days ago. We have a video of that in a prior show. Sadie is younger, a little bit harder to handle, but she has been totally harnessed up in her harness for farming. The harnesses I bought for Eve and Sadie so that I can use them for farming. We're going to turn off the camera while we finish harnessing her because we've done detailed shows on both harnessing Eve and Sadie. And so we'll turn the camera back on when we're ready to ground drive Sadie. And then we'll spend a few minutes showing you how we're going to measure how long to make the harness pole, which is going to be made out of ABS. Well, we're almost harnessed up. We just put the bridle on. You can see that we've got the collar on, the surcingle on, or the saddle as it's called, the britchin on, the crooper under her tail. She was good about all of that. And we took the tug straps and hung them up with hardware just to keep them up out of the way. Because we're not going to work with a single tree today, which is yet the next step. We're just going to ground drive Sadie down the sanded driveway a short distance, turn her around, come back, and then without spooking her, try to bring our harness pole up to her and do some measuring because we don't want to cut the ABS until we know how long we want the harness pole to be. And we have studied some YouTube videos, anywhere from 50-second videos to 2-minute videos of other people training their horses to drive in pairs using a PVC or ABS harness pole from the ground without actually being hitched to a forecart or anything of that sort. So we're going to go in that direction. Do Sadie, we already did Eve on ground driving, get the harness pole ready. Then from the ground with enough staff around, we will try to drive them hitched to our ABS harness pole, and then we'll go to the next step, which would be to use a forecart pole and get our pair of horses to allow us to pull implements behind us when we're sitting in a two-wheeled forecart. Now, I haven't bought any extras yet because these are very expensive, but they're extremely important to use when you're driving cart or pulling of any sort. In case of a spook, they are quick releases. You can easily, if you can get to the piece of hardware, release whatever it is you have in this loop. They're about $5 a piece. So I'm going to figure out how many I want for my pairs driving, put them anywhere that I think I might need them or anywhere that I think I might be able to get to if I have a crash. And you know, I've seen some bad crashes in my 30 years of this kind of horse work. Fortunately, not my horses, but where I go, a lot of experienced horses, still they're horses. They can get spooked, and especially if you're in pairs, one horse can feed the other horse with spookiness, and things can go badly very quickly. So I've never done this before. You're watching me learn how to do it, try to do it, creatively do it, one small step at a time. We're going to turn off the camera, turn it back towards the driveway, and start doing some ground driving with Sadie with the ground driving reins on her bridle. Okay, first we're giving Sadie an opportunity, just with the lead line with a familiar person at her head, to walk up and down the driveway with all attack on, but we think safely secured in case she starts to run or get spooked. Then when Ashley comes back here, I'm going to pull the reins out and try to couple the lead line work with some rein cues. And also, when I feel comfortable, using my little cart whip to tap her, because my cues are going to be associated with taps from the cart whip. Okay, we've got to, wait, stop, please. Okay, look what happened here. It's the very thing that I worried about. Okay, the reins fell a little bit and started to hang on the side of her body, but she was okay on it. We could have secured them a little better. Okay. Today we have 3 people. When I actually connect to single tree and log pulls and whatever, I'm going to have more than 3 people. Okay, walk on forward. Give yourself enough woo. Okay. Step up, Sadie. Okay, walk forward if you can. Step up. My youngster, Sadie, she's not as used to all of these straps. Step up. Okay. Step up. Step up. Step up. Whoa. Erin, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? Just leave the camera on her and go and close that gate. If she does get away from us, I sure don't want her running around the property. I always think about what might happen if the horse gets spooked or gets away from us. As I said, I've seen many crash in my 30-some years of doing this kind of work. So I'm being very cautious, taking baby steps. Now, Ashley, we're going to G, which means go to the right. I hope we have enough room to make a U-turn, otherwise we'll do a right-hand turn and then back a little bit. Okay, let's, ready, step up, G, G, so I'm pulling a little bit on the right rein, G, G, good girl. I'm not using the cart whip tap yet. One baby step at a time. Step up. Hey. Step up, good. Now when we get down to the end here where we've got enough room, we'll do a haw.
You know what it is? I think this chain on her bridle, I think she keeps playing with it because it dangles kind of low.
I see. So we have a bridle chain that we want to adjust. We'll stop the camera and start it again. Okay, we've adjusted the chain. Now we're going to go farther up the driveway, do a haw turn, which is a turn to the left. And when we get back to the camera, we'll show you what we had to adjust and how we adjusted it. Step up, Sadie. Step up. Gonna haw here.
Ha. Step up, ha. Step up, ha. Good. She's being naughty because this is all new to her. She has pulled in the past, but it was years ago. She was very young. She probably doesn't even remember. Good. Step up. Whoa. Okay, Ashley, will you point to the chain that we had to adjust?
Ooh. So it's this chain here. It was dangling too much, so we went around to the other side and then hooked it back on this side. Hey.
Okay, and Erin, you helped us with my Swiss Army knife. Can you show that to the camera? We always try to have things like that around, tools like that around when we're working with tack, especially in the first session or two. It had a little pliers-like device that helped us to open up the hook that received the second half of the chain. Okay, now one more thing we want to do is Erin is going to leave the camera on us and go and get the harness pole. And very carefully, now Sadie has blinders on, so chances are she's not going to see it and get all spooked by it, but we're going to put the harness pole down on the ground close to where we would want to hitch to the straps from the collars of the two horses, just to get an idea where we're going to cut the ABS to make it the right length. Erin, can you get it? And you can leave the camera on. In the meantime, just getting Sadie to stand nicely is important, and we hope she will. And Erin, as you walk towards her, talk to her so she doesn't get spooked. There's the harness pole with a front PVC cross piece that also will have to be cut to size. Oh, excuse me, the PVC cross piece is from the back. Put it down, about 3 feet from her tail with the PVC cross piece, 3 feet from her tail. Put it down and let's hope that this ABS is long enough. See, she sees it, and she's concerned. And it looks like it's going to be just long enough. Do you agree, Erin? Yeah, okay. Okay, now one more thing while this is on the ground, would you go and get what we're going to put on the front of this piece of ABS. It's over there by the cart shed. And while you're at it, bring the single tree. Whoop. It's all right. Whoop. Okay, put that cross piece in the front just to show how it's going to look. Now the single tree, bring it back here if you would. Just it has chain, so let her know you're here. Is just a short piece of ABS with caps on it. It goes back here, right about where the cross piece of this harness pole is. So put it right here on the driveway with the chain toward me. There you go. That's going to be our single tree. We'll have one for each horse. You'll understand better if you keep watching this farming series, Farming with Horses series. And Erin, can you go back to the camera now and make sure that all these things on the ground can be seen? And then just one caveat, I'm going to mention it, but we're going to fix it for next time. So you see the single tree right in front of me, is the harness pole to Sadie's right, with the back cross piece and the front shorter cross piece, which will hit the front cross piece will hitch to straps or chains from the pair of collars. And the only other caveat is if you can just zoom in here on this crupper strap that goes from the saddle to the tail, it's a little bit off center. And I think next time we'll probably make it a little bit snugger. We've got holes and buckles to use for that. But I didn't want to do it this time because that's yet another pressure to have to deal with. But I'd rather that it stay in the center of her hips. And that's what we did today. Showed you how we drove Sadie for the first time with her new harness that is going to be used for farming, and how we began the process of fitting all of these pieces together because we're doing a training harness pole and how we're going to ultimately use the single tree, which will be hooked to an ABS log, a wooden log, then maybe a harrow, some kind of a farm implement individually on each horse. And then we're going to try it together with them hooked to, with each horse in the pair hooked to the harness pole. One small step at a time. Okay, we're unhitching now. So we're showing you as a postscript how careful we're doing that.
Stop.
We took off the reins from the bridle, and now we're taking off the bridle. We're trying to go in the reverse order. We don't want any straps hanging around here. I'll take the bridle. See how we have rafter hooks right here on our fence to put everything away nearby neatly. And Sadie is kicking up, but you see we on purpose didn't leave any straps or loops hanging down because we know that we have to get her past that bad habit of trying to push away these straps that are causing pressure on her. Now we're taking the tug straps off. They're connected to the collar. Okay, I'll hold this. You go and take the other one off. I'm actually going to disconnect this tug strap. This is all new leather, so in some respects it's a little bit stiff. You got to get used to knowing how to handle it. It's all right, Sadie. It's all right. Okay. Now we're going to take the collar off. And to do that, we're going to unhitch. Okay, unhitch her from the tie ring. She's pretty good about allowing this collar to come over her head. It does not have an open buckle, so you do have to get your horse desensitized to putting it over the head. If you have a horse that you're worried about that, get a collar with a buckle. Okay, and now we're going to disconnect these straps that held the breeching on her hips. We just tied them with our buckle to the strap of the saddle. And I'll show you how it would have looked had we not done that. And I'll show you why we did that. You see, if Sadie were to kick up and get her foot caught in this loop, it would have been pretty scary. Now the crupper, and the horses tend to, it's all right, clamp down their tail, hold on to the buckle so it doesn't get hung up in her tail hairs. There you go, the crupper's off, okay, and off comes the breeching, whoop, from her hips. And the final step, taking the surcingle off, is similar to taking a saddle off. So we're done.
Harness pole being made in the garage. Our harness pole in the making in our garage. This is the short end. And then up on the ladder here in the garage is the other end, which is the long end. We'll probably be cutting that cross piece of PVC a little shorter. We are going to add some through bolts, one on this end of the ABS and the other one on the other end close to the T, and then try it on the horse when it's harnessed up as soon as we can. Evaluating training harness pole measurements. This is our harness training pole. We've got it all assembled but not glued because we want to make sure that this is going to work. We've done our best by watching YouTube videos because I haven't gone to any clinics yet on this issue. Now this is Eve. We've got her saddle on and her collar. We didn't even bother to put the crupper on because really all we want to do now is make a plan for what is the next baby step on getting this harness pole ready to use between two horses when they're pulling. And this is just the training harness pole, not the real harness pole that we'll be using on the forecart that we are making out of an old Boland's wagon. Okay, so Eve is usually pretty easily approached with things like this. We want that to be about 3 foot away, just guesstimate, 2 to 3 foot away. Okay, yeah, hold it up like that. Yeah, we couldn't tell for sure in the garage when we built this whether or not it was going to be long enough. Eve is my biggest Morgan, so Semi might be a little longer because she's built a little differently. So now the next question is, and we've got to put our heads together on this. We've got a ring here, through bolted, and a ring on each end, and the same over there in the back. And we're not quite sure how we're going to train with this. And actually, what I think we need to do, looking at it at the horse's side, and Katie, you help me with any ideas, is I think if we connect to this piece of stainless steel on the collar, and we can't move the camera right now because it's raining, but there is a stainless steel loop on the front of this collar, and I think that if we have a horse on either side, and we use a dog collar or a chain to connect this through bolt eye to this stainless steel loop, and the horses don't get concerned about it, once we've trained them to drive in pairs, this harness pole will help to keep them together and actually to help to distribute the weight of whatever we're pulling properly. Now, I'm not sure. Now, I kind of think this is the case. Eventually, this harness pole will be connected to the forecart. So on Katie's end, there will be a connection to a two-wheeled vehicle. But for now, for training, we will just hang a, whoops, you see it's not glued yet. We will just hang with a chain that you can hold back there to hold it up. So we'll eventually have this connected to the collars of the two horses. That will be held up by a chain, and we'll start to train the horses to drive in pairs. That's our plan on a very rainy day in Santa Cruz. Measuring the training harness pole with Sadie. Square pen with Sadie. Sadie needs a whole lot more tacking up. Often, because she shakes her head and swishes her tail, doesn't like the feelings of the straps. So every chance we have, we're just gonna tack her up. But we're in the square pen because it's 40-mile-an-hour winds and raining outside. And we brought to the square pen my other harness collar, which has a buckle on the top. I just wanted to show it to you, and then we're going to leave it here for the rest of this rainy season so we can be practicing with my other harness. Now this harness collar, you can see, has no stainless steel on it. The reason is it's a separate piece. There's a Hames, a very beautiful Hames, H-A-M-E-S, that goes around this collar, fits in the groove, and is very fancy. So, but for today, what we're doing is just going to the next fitting step, and that is we have our harness pole for training on the ground next to Sadie. Now, in the front, for the short piece, we put some chains, nice smooth chains, they're actually dog choke chains, with some clasps on the bolt eyes, both sides. And we haven't glued the training pole yet because we want to make sure everything fits right, and this is the next attempt to make sure of that. Now in the back, we've got the long pole, and let me hold Sadie and you go back there and show how we're going to, for training purposes, lift it up There you go. The back is going to be lifted up manually by somebody walking behind. Whoa. Okay, Sadie is curious, so we've got to get her back next to the harness pole.
Back.
Okay, we're doing all of these in small baby steps, all of these fittings and chains, and do everything safely. We're going to do them with Sadie when we feel that it's a good opportunity to work on getting her to be compliant to our request. Now, one more fit attempt today, and I'm going to help. We're going to lift the front of the harness pole. Hope that Sadie stands nicely for us, but she'll be curious. Make sure that our dog chains on the bolt eyes will be able to fit around either the collar itself, or on my other collars I have, without an extra piece of Hames, I have a nice stainless steel U piece in the front of it. And you'll be seeing that as we have more opportunity to fit and train with my other collars. Okay, so now I'm going to go up. I have a training stick, by the way, in my hand to deal with Sadie if she isn't patient. I'm going to go up here and lift up the front. Katie's just going to reach that chain. They're both about the same size. Will that be enough? Let me move this back a little bit. I think so. You agree?
Yeah.
A good distance away from the front of the training harness pole. A nice soft chain, strong. And the next step, on a non-rainy day, we'll put it down, will be to actually hitch. We'll probably use Eve the first time we do this. We're not ready to do anything in pairs yet. But I just wanted to make sure before we glue that we've got the proper dimensions on this creatively made, made at home training harness pole. And we'll be showing you how we accustom our horses to having such a pole next to them. What we'll probably do with Eve is we'll have an extra person or two that day. Maybe your friend Erin can be there. We're going to hold this harness, we're going to connect it to the collar, hold it in the back, and then have a human being standing on the other side instead of a horse, and walk along. Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Sammy, Rusty, and Susie. Heifer calf Sela. For more information, www.cowgirlchannel.com.